know this one is going this way, but what I want happen from this rose is, see, I limited the growing tip, reduced the plant to this size, right? From how big was it? About this much. All the nutrient has gone back to the roots. So the roots is just ready to send out some energy back up. So, and there aren't too many branches left, so the energy should hit this part and start the new growth from down below. That's what you want. You don't want to have the new growth starting high up here. I've seen roses, like this one, the base is this thick and going up like this, and then the new growth starts from the tip, from the end. You don't want that. You want to bring it down to here, so it'll make a nice shape. And I said earlier to peel off the bark.
I have a question.
Yeah.
You know, if you have like your rose bushes are like tall like this,
Mm-hmm.
and then I've just been hearing to like I was trimming them back like this, but then I've been hearing trim them up high, like leave a lot of growth still.
Right.
So
The modern or more recent way to cut roses up to here, not down to here. So what you heard is right. I'm just doing this to renovate this bush.
Okay.
So pruning to renovate and pruning just to cut it down in the winter.
Okay.
It's two different ways. I'm
Okay,
showing you how to renovate.
Okay. So this is like if you have an older plant that
Exactly.
needs to be like kind of structured. Okay.
Exactly. You'd be surprised how well the base will regrow if you do this.
Yeah, what are you doing now? Do you do that every year or
As necessary.
as necessary?
Yeah.
Okay.
If you notice that I'm sure a lot of people haven't done this part, peeling off the old bark, because it's not really talked about. So some roses might have a couple of layers. And when you take the layer off, you'll be surprised how smooth and reddish underneath is. And that by doing this, the surface is exposed to the sunshine, and that promotes the new growth. You know, things don't grow when they're in the shade on the sunny, sun-loving plants. That's why underneath the older bush is always brown. So you do this. You know, if I wanted to shock you a little bit more, I would have cut this portion. I might do that actually, because this portion is coming out this way, right? If I cut it right here, why don't we? Can you cut it right here? You want to cut this one all the way around. Yeah, can you? Yeah. Several years ago, I went to a rose garden, and it was an old established rose garden, and Crown had all these really gnarly, thick old branches. There are about 40 roses, and about 10 of them, I cut it down here. No branches left, just a little mound. I told the homeowner to just go somewhere else. I didn't want her to just keep going. Okay, thank you. And that spring, everything was back to this size. It was beautiful. So roses are hard to kill unless the feet is in wet soil all the time, then they don't like it. So if you can do this is going to be a beautiful rose with enough fertilizer and nicely shaped. And what do I do next? Now I've done this.
Spray.
Spray. Clean the base around and spray. And then feed. So these are 2 bush roses. Cane. You cut the oldest cane. So all time you should have like no more than 5 canes from the base going up. You might do just fine with only 3 canes. How they bloom is most of the time climbing rose, when the new cane come up, it blooms at the top, the tip of the cane the first year. Second year, it will start to have the lateral branches, and it will bloom at the end of the lateral branches. Third year, the lateral branch further branch out, and then it will bloom at the end of the branch on the lateral branch. So the third spring, you have a real show on climbing rose. So that means pretty much each cane needs to be at least 3 years old to put on the best show, right? So after 4 years, the canes start to get too tired. So those are the canes you will cut back from after the 3 years. So. Now somebody cut this cane down to here, this was a very, can you see it? This was not a really good pruning job because somebody left this much on the climbing road. So first of all, you want to cut this one. And see, there's this much left, right? That's not good. So I forgot to bring my knife. When there's about that much left, it's hard to use a saw, so you have a little pruning knife. You cut this off, okay? And this branch is going like that. Basically, I want to leave this one and this one today. This is an old, well, I'll leave this one to share. Somebody cut this one right here, didn't it? So I'll take this one out. Even though this one looks a little older, I might take this one. See, looks better already, doesn't it? I guess I will cut this one. I'll just leave 2. This one is, see, there's a little softer growth up there, so it's not old enough. Okay. In this cut surface, sometimes you see a little hole in the stem that's been cut. That's a bug. So you need to do like a Elmer's glue. Put it on so the bugs won't get there, and drill in. Okay, now, so I can be able to do this. Now this one is ready for spray and feeding. Now climbing roses get much bigger than bush roses, right? So they want a little bit more fertilizer. So instead of 2 cups, I would use 4 cups out here. If you, does anybody have climbing rose next to a house? Okay, so that means you cannot fertilize way up out here, right? So fertilize like this. The roots will tend to grow along the bed. So fertilize right here, and then cover it with the loose blend. And does anybody have climbing rose in the middle of the garden? No? If you do, like using a rose tower, I would dig a hole, like 4 holes. 1 here, this far out. 1 here, 1 there, 1 there. And fill the hole with the, like a manure, well composted manure. And then your roses will be really happy because they are heavy feeders. Roses are heavy feeders, they are pigs. So feed them. Now, using this rose food, you fertilize your roses 3 times a year. Once is when you cut it back, like somewhere in February, 1 time. And that feeding will take care of the spring bloom of the roses. 2nd time is in May. May is after the roses bloom, right? So that will prepare the rose for summer bloom, July or so. And then the 3rd and final feeding takes place in August after the summer blooming, and that will take care of the September bloom. That's it. Only 3 times. Right now it's a rainy season, hopefully. So after you feed the rose, don't put the mulch on the soil surface, because mulch, if we don't get more than 1 inch, this rainwater doesn't soak in. This goes on top of the mulch. And after rainy season's over, you can put mulch up to 2 to 3 inches, and that will conserve the water in the soil and also keep the soil temperature from going high and low and high and low. The mulch will give the rose and then the soil very stabilized environment. And let's see, I said I'll talk about rust. Rust is kind of hard to control. Does anybody have rust problem? Okay. How long have you had the roses?
About, I think, 3 years.
3 years? Okay.
And in one case, there's as much or more rust as green leaves.
Really?
And so I'm thinking maybe I'll just get rid of that plant.
I was just going to suggest, you know, there's always a catalyst among the roses. Always the first one to get powdery mildew, rust. If you're fighting the rust problem 3 years or more, get rid of it, because that's going to start the rust problem and spread to the other rose. If you have an emotional attachment to the rose, maybe I will put that away from the rest of the roses so it won't be contaminating the other roses. Rust, if you compare powdery mildew to rust, powdery mildew attacks the new growth, right? Buds and new growth. Rust start appearing on the lowest leaf of your rose, not the new leaves, but older leaves. Usually from the splashback from the dirt. So if you know you have rust-prone roses, keep an eye on the bush like every other day and start looking the bottom of the leaf. Moment you see, you take it off. That's the best thing to do. And once you touch the rose bush that has any sort of disease, don't touch other roses because you're spreading the disease with your fingers. Let's see, what else can I talk about? Oh, I'm sure everybody had those lacy leaves. Somebody's eating the rose leaf.
Oh, yes.
Okay, they look like green caterpillars, but they're not caterpillars. They're maggots of flies. It's called rose slug or sawfly. And caterpillar killer spray, organic one, doesn't work because they're not caterpillars, they're maggots. The only thing that will work is spinosad. See, this is insect spray. It says insect spray. Look for the active ingredients. Active ingredient says spinosad.
How do you spell that?
S-P-I-N-O-S-A-D. If you spray your rose once a month with this, you can keep your roses clean. You can keep the rose slug from attacking your roses. There are 3 species of rose slugs around here. One has 1 life cycle per season. The other 2 has 4 or 5 life cycles per season. So they lay eggs, hatch, eat the leaves, go to cocoon, fly away, come right back to the rose, lay eggs. They repeat that 4 or 5 times. That's why you can't get rid of them unless you treat them. This is totally organic, so you can use it on your tomatoes when you start having tomato hornworms. Also, you can use this on citrus leaf miner once a month or so. The only thing you have to be careful about this is when there are honeybees around, don't shoot at honeybees because it will kill them. Residual on the leaves will not harm the honeybees. So please spray your roses either early in the morning, beat the honeybees, or later in the evening after they go home. Let's see.
When you spray, do you spray on the top? Do you have to get underneath the leaves? Or what's the proper way to spray?
Basically, in this case, rose slug's case, when they eat, it doesn't just only eat the underneath, it eats the whole layer. So you can just spray, and then they'll ingest it, and they'll be dead in 24 hours. Yes.
One other thing about rust.
Yes.
Do you use the liquid cop or something else on
That would be the most effective prevention. Bugs, you do a treatment once you see the problem. Diseases, the best thing to do is prevention. Either using dormant spray or having something good compost like this to prevent the disease. But rust, when I already have some rust on the altissimo rose, which is prone to rust. One thing you want to remember is when the roses get dry, not the air, the rose itself, because you forgot to water or your irrigation system broke down. When the plants go dry, they drop the self-defense mechanism against the fungus.
Mm-hmm.
So if you have noticed, like one day your rose bush got a little dry and a little wilty, the next day it's covered with mildew. It takes only like one day. So make sure that your roses are well watered. But like I said before, they don't want to be in the wet feet. So roses need good draining soil. Or if you have clay soil, you may raise the bed. So create a raised bed for the roses. If you want to put rose bed in the middle of the lawn, I mean, it's a pretty look. Beautiful green edging, and then raise it by 10, 12 inches. And then that won't cause any problem.
Is there a best time to water?
In the morning. In the morning. And also, that was a good question to prompt me to one mildew prevention until through April. you can overwater the roses first thing in the morning, and that will wash off the powder mildew spore. But once it gets warmer, don't do that. That was a really interesting tip we got from the rose grower. You can wash off the powder mildew spore by overhead watering. And so what you need this time of the year is copper and fertilizer and good compost. And once they start to leaves come out, then once a month, spinosad spray. You know, roses are hard to kill. I heard a long time ago, in abandoned farmland, two things alive: rose bushes and asparagus. They may not look the best, but they don't die. It's hard to kill them, as long as the feet are not in the wet soil. Any questions?
Cedar compost? Is
Yes.
that okay for roses? Or no?
To use.
To put on the bed? Like I put the cedar around my citrus trees and like I said, to keep bugs away.
Oh, I see, as a mulch.
Yeah.
Okay. I
Is
would
too
do
much
that.
moisture?
I'll do that to conserve moisture and keep the soil temperature even after the rainy season is over. I want all the rain to soak in.
Right.
You know, we think we had quite a bit of rain. I was at a job site this morning. It's a sandy soil garden. We dug down about this much. You know how deep the rain has reached? Only about this much. And it's not even a clay soil, it's sandy soil. And below about this much was all dry. It's amazing. So we still don't get enough rain. Any questions? Okay.
I was going to ask you,
Yeah.
I'm not slowing else down. In doing a raised bed, how do I need to prepare the soil for roses?
If you have regular soil like this, raise the bed using that kind of soil, and put 2 inches of this on top where you're going to plant. Of course, the fertilizer. That's what you need to do. That's the best soil. You know, the prepared soil in bag, it's got too much forest product. So if you need a lot of topsoil, check with the local soil supplier to see how much amendment they put. You want fairly lean, not too much forest product. The reason for that is forest product, they grind up the fur and all that, and compost it a little bit. But if it's not fully composted, it keeps on breaking down after you put it in the ground. And when the forest product breaks down, it robs the soil of nitrogen. So that means you have to add more nitrogen to the soil. It's hard to get. You know, if you have like your neighbors building a house and digging out, get that soil. Really. It's the best, actually. Unless it's the yellow caliche soil, then you don't want it.
And what is your name?
Oh, I'm sorry, my name's Mia.
Mia.
Yes. And
Thank you for your talk.
Oh,
It's
you're
very
welcome.
informative.
Thank you. And the next week, I don't know what the talk is, but this is